Well, the history of Washington Avenue Baptist Church is one of the fascinating history of Springfield, in my opinion. It started way back, I believe it was built in the 1800s, late 1800s. But what makes it unique, from my perspective, is the relationship between the building and the African American community. It's the unique building that happened, that served as a sanctuary for African American people here in town, especially during the 1906 lynching. What happened at that time, it was during the melee of the lynching and people struggling and looking for ways to get out of Springfield, they used the basement of this church, Washington Avenue Baptist Church, as a sanctuary. And so I saw that as an opportunity to find ways to preserve the history. So when Drury University decided at one point that they wanted to demolish the building and build a new science building, of course there was an uproar among the citizens. And in the process, the then president of Drury, Dr. Moore, he and I kind of got together and he wanted to find ways to preserve the building. Unfortunately, though, we were not able to do what we intended to do at the beginning, which was to physically move the building from one location to another. So what we came up with, or at least the idea that I threw out to the president at that time, was how about disassembling the building brick by brick and then reassemble it at the new location. He found that intriguing. So did I, because at that time I have not done anything even close to that. And so the idea was to see how we can make this work. It was quite an undertaking because trying to put together a build, first disassembling a building and then trying to put it back together, especially with the history that goes along with the building. What we tried to do was to be as authentic as we can. So in the process of demolishing the building, or at least disassembling the building, we numbered each brick and kind of put them in a pallet so that each brick that was disassembled went in the exact location that the original church was built on. So by the time that we finished, well, during the process, we found out that even the stained glass, which is about 16 feet tall, 8 feet wide, was actually installed inside out way back when. So the contractors came up to me and said, well, I think they did this wrong. And I say, well, in order for us to preserve the history, we need to do it exactly the way it was built back then. So we put it back inside out, just exactly the way they had it. And one of the things that I find rewarding was one of the old congregants who had left I can't even remember when he said he left, but he was in California, and then he came back after we had finished moving the church or relocating the church, and he stood in front of the church and he wanted to know when the church was going to be relocated. So that to me tells you that we did a job. It was a job well done that even he could not tell at the time that he was standing in front of the church that the church had not been relocated.